Welcome to the Old Capital Real Estate Investing Podcast with Michael Becker and Paul Peebles. During this program, you will hear interviews with real-life successful investors who will share their stories and provide useful advice on how to acquire, finance, and operate apartment complexes. Now, here they are, Michael Becker and Paul Peebles.
Welcome to the Old Capital Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Peebles, National Underwriter for Old Capital. Joining me typically would be the mayor of the great state of real estate here in Texas, Mr. Michael Becker, but he is on another due diligence assignment. So we're blessed to have the number one loan officer in the state, Mr. Ricardo Hinojosa. Ricardo, how are you?
Doing great, Paul. It's good to be here.
I'm glad you're here with us. Ricardo, what is your sense of the market right now about what's going on? I mean, you do a lot of business, a lot of commercial real estate business, and you're seeing a lot of opportunities out there. Tell me a little bit about, just in the back of a napkin, what are you seeing out there? What should buyers, what should sellers, what people should be thinking about in commercial real estate?
Yeah, no, I mean, in our space, which is really, the B and C space, and I primarily am here in the North Texas DFW market, we're seeing more and more of our client base is itching to buy. So the buyers seem to be there. For the last couple of years, there's been this big gap between the buyers and sellers. And I think it's slowly coming together in terms of the bid ask on these deals. We're seeing deals come to market with several buyers that are in the mix that are, starting to prices, deals aren't getting bid up, but there's competition for especially the good quality B assets. We're starting to see kind of more and more competition to, come up and make these deals happen. The issue has been more on the seller side, right? So do we have real sellers and are sellers meeting the market? And I think we're starting to see more of that. Transactions still aren't back at the peak, but I think we're going to have a busy summer.
You just had about 40, 45 people at a meeting last week. Were those some of the things that were discussed? What was kind of the high level of your discussion with some of these folks, Ricardo?
Yeah, no, that was a great meetup. About 40 of our best clients, the folks that you're going to speak with today, were in that room. And it was funny. We kept coming back to a topic. They wanted to understand who's their competition. So these are 40 GPs, 40 groups that are looking to buy B and C assets in that, call it $5 to $20 million range. And they're out there looking for deals, and their biggest question was, who else is out there? Who's my competition to win these deals? So we had some broker friends in that room, and we all kind of went back and forth on, how do we put our clients in the best position to win these deals in DFW? So that was the main objective.
What else did you guys talk about that you thought was interesting? People that are sitting just in the back seats or trying to understand a little bit more about this market. What else did you guys talk about? Anything that you felt?
Yeah, I think when it comes to putting together a deal and a transaction in that space, the biggest challenge right now is equity, right? Raising equity. The debt is there. We're starting to get, these deals, the way they're priced right now, we're starting to see more deals in that 70% plus leverage range with agency financing. The issue is, can these buyers raise the equity to get these deals closed? That's probably the biggest challenge right now.
Got it. Well, let's talk to a husband and wife that were in that room that I think have been on the podcast at least one time before. And they tell a great story because they come from, I would say, humble beginnings from a small village in India, and they came over to the United States. And I would kind of say it is destiny that where you're not raised in privilege. You go to college, you earn good grades, but the destiny says that you want to bring yourself, your family to the next level. And that is what our friends Vivek and Asha, they've done that. And they tell a great story that I want you to listen to because it does talk a little bit about maybe how you are at maybe right now, but maybe it's your destiny to become an apartment owner, a business owner, a real estate investor, and listen to how they did it, and perhaps you can do it. So I'm going to turn it over to Ricardo. Let's talk with Vivek and Asha from StarCore Capital here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Vivek, Asha, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Ricardo.
Thank you. Thank you all.
We are always happy to be here.
Great to have you. We talk often. You guys are great friends. I've known you for several years.
Yes.
But for the audience, for the folks that may have not heard the first podcast, let's talk a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, but we'll make it brief. We have had our share of American dream and roller coaster that we have gone through, and Asha can jump in. So we both are from very humble background, like financially backward, back home in India, from small villages where we used to get new clothes maybe once a year if everything goes good that year. And we used to just wear the same set of clothes because that's new, right? Everywhere. We studied, I think we both of us, we studied non-English school. English was never our first language or anything. We started studying English in the 11th grade. So first 10th grade, there was absolutely no English. There was one subject, but it used to be just CAT cat. That's it, right? That's where you are. Otherwise, everything was our own mother tongues. We used to go to school without any shoes or anything in the rain or sun. It used to be same, but it used to be fun life when I look back. That I think kept us very humble and rooted where we come from. Well, fast forward, our parents also understood the importance of education to push us there, to read the books. We did that, and I think fast forward, we got into engineering with scholarships. That's where Asha and I met each other. It was about 1998 or 2000, so long back, and we have been together ever since. Asha and we have been like best friends, best partners in the business, and yeah, I think we just bank on each other a lot. After that, I think 2012 is October of 2012, we came to the United States.
2010 we came.
2010, sorry, yeah, October 2010. We came to the United States with our two little daughters. They were 1.5 year old and like 5.5 year old. Asha was not working that time, even though she was an engineer. We had decided she will take care of the two daughters, not to keep them in any play school or anywhere. We wanted to raise them. And I used to work in a high tech company. I used to have close to like 150 people reporting into me from different companies. And the reason I'm telling that is that's when you feel that you have everything in life. So many people from so many other countries reporting into you. Happy W2 life, right? That was like a dream life or the American dream that you get. Then in 2012, beginning of 2012, that's like from October 2010 to beginning of 2012, we decided to buy a home because we wanted to try out a home. And then we realized you really need a credit history to buy a home in this country. And we didn't have any because we were here just like what, 1 year, 1.5 years. But there was a way some friends figured out, and we had to do a lot more down payment and keep the loan amount a little smaller. We did that. We got a house. And around Thanksgiving, 1 week before Thanksgiving in the same year, they told me that I'm out. They're closing one of the big departments in the company. Just 1 week before that, they had told me that I'm on the fastest growing path. They're going to keep me on the leadership path. And a week later, they give me a pink slip that you're out. There is nothing here. And unfortunately, that time there were no severance packages as well. And I just had like 5 days to get out of the company. And it was pretty shattering for both of us because what we had in the bank was on hardly $1,500 because we never thought this will happen. And we did not have an idea how are we going to pay mortgage next month? How are we going to fill up even the gas in the car? That's the situation we were in. That was a dark Thanksgiving.
During Thanksgiving and Christmas Day, the kids were in the elementary school. So all kids were making their list, Christmas gifts or the teacher's gift, what we have to give teachers. So we were like here, we cannot really buy all those things that year. So it was really hard to convey that message to kids. But my older one, I think that's what I tell, that she grew really matured personality. She's
Because of
really
that.
because
Yeah.
of that situation, I guess. So she used to make my little one understand, dad is going through some tests, so we cannot spend too much of money. So all those things I think came her to very early age. But that was really a hard time for me to say no for the ice cream and the chocolates to kids.
Yeah. And that I think, I mean, woke us up really, right? Like we had our share of going through the downhills, thinking what to do next. And the unfortunate part was nobody gives you a job around Thanksgiving, Christmas, December holidays, even in January, right? Everybody is going to get back. I did contact a lot of my network in the industry, but everybody is like, can we talk after Jan 15th when we are back? And I have no idea here, how am I going to pay the mortgage of the next month, right? So I did take some help. A couple of friends helped with the cash. So we managed that situation. But something happened to us that time. It's like we were just done with W2. We just thought over it. We had nights of crying and everything. And then we decided, you know what, this I can get a job back. I'm capable of that. I can get some pay started, W2 started, but we are just done with this W2. I think we just need to focus on building our own economy where we are not banking on anyone. And I think that's what changed us.
Yeah, we lost faith. In the simple words, we lost faith in that.
Yeah.
It's just you're just an employee number,
Yeah,
Okay.
all these things happen, right? In the W2, you are told you're a superstar or whatever, but at the end of the day, you're an employee number and everything depends on a business. And even one decision at the top or wherever, right, like you're out. And I think looking back, the majority of us, that's the biggest risk we take in life, that thinking W2 is a low risk job. That there is just no guarantee anytime, right? Like you are out. And the more later in your life you're out, you have more problems. Right. It was for us at like somewhere mid, I think about 36 or 37. It was like still a little late. You have kids, you have so many bills to pay. I had got 2 cars, big American dream, right? Like a house, 2 cars, and have no idea what do I do with not having money. So we decided that I think we are done. We just do not want to go back to W2. Let's just do something. Then we decided to, I did get back my W2 because I badly wanted a payroll to start. Because I had bills to pay. And my first thing was, I have never prayed to God that much actually in my life, that get me just payroll started. I was determined once I get a W2 payroll started, I was going to just focus entirely on how do we start something on our own. Then 2013 January, I got a job. I got back. I was a business unit director and I got back in as a verification engineer. I did not question. I said, I need a payroll. Give me that, right? I got in. They interviewed me for like 6 hours because they were like, oh, he was a business unit director. Will he do verification sitting on a computer? Maybe that was their doubt. I went through it. On those holidays, in my home, I have a bookshelf. I still have all the engineering books that helped me study those holidays. Studied everything, analog, digital engineering, went through the interview, cracked it, got the payroll, not the job, I would say. The payroll is all I wanted. Paid the bills and started going. But immediately in Jan and Feb timeframe, we went through all the options. What all can we start? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We talked about apparel business. We talked about all sorts of things.
Franchise business, or a lot of things. We shortlisted a couple of businesses, but most of them needed a lot of cash upfront. So we didn't have that. So
yeah, and we are in the US October 2010 onwards. So my 401k also did not have a lot, right? Nothing much really. Then I was just talking to someone and it realized that the housing market is going up in Dallas and area, and every house needs a granite and a marble stone. And our mad thought was, why don't we sell granite or marble slabs? We have no idea what it is, but what worse could happen? We have already come from the worst. We have gone down the drain and we are here. What worse could happen? So we opened google.com and studied everything about granite and marble stones, how to import, how to sell, everything. We probably studied about, now we know that business so well, we must have got about like 20% of it, but we jumped in. Asha took the computer out. She registered a company called Stoneways Limited. The name just came, $300 we put in, we started doing research. This is what we did. Okay. We figured out all the wholesalers in Dallas and Houston area. We called them and we told them that we own a big quarry back in India and we will give you the stones. And here, from here, we used to call India and the wholesalers there, and we used to tell them we own a big stone business in the US, so we need stones. We lied because that was the only way to get in the business. We literally lied. And for 6 months, we struggled though to find, like with that story, we went around, we went to Houston, Dallas. And this industry is so rough because it's a construction type of industry. And I'm from the high tech world. They use F word every sentence. And that made us very like thick skinned. It's like, yeah, there's nothing personal, keep going. And fast forward, we hit one customer in Houston, and from there it just started. We busted our ass, like elbow greasing, everything. And fast forward, we started importing 2 to 3 containers and supplying. We realized the business has so much of power, right? Like we made like good amount of margin on those, and that one customer started getting even 4 to 5 containers at a time, and that made us like a good amount of money. And how we did that is loan on my 401k. We just after that I even cashed out 401k to get the containers in. So I have no 401k then onwards, right? I don't believe in 401k. So we did that. Fast forward, we sold that business, and because it was getting really hard to scale, because it's a business where boots on the ground. You cannot sit on computer and have a team and scale it. And Asha had a lot of interest in cooking, and she used to get frustrated with the cookware so much. You want to tell that story? I think you will tell that better.
Yeah, frustrated with the cookware. One day on wine, I told Vivek, why don't we just start design and manufacture our own cookware? And he said yes that time. Next day morning, I repeated the same question. I said, oh, that's not your wine talk, that's your real talk. So that's when we started Avacraft. So we had a knowledge of import and all those things with the stonewares. That knowledge helped us finding the manufacturers and then dealing with them, dealing with all the import business and everything. So it's been 9 years, Avacraft. So I have built a really good team, really amazing team. So I just work strategically just 1 or 2 hours in a week just for the meetings. If anything they're really struggling, then I jump in and then we figure out how to get through that.
Yeah, I think we also like it's connecting those dots, right? Like Stone Business taught us how to think like a business, like it's real MBA on the road. It's like you're on the road and then you do your MBA in the business. And then those dots helped us with import, export, dealing with P&L in the cookware business. And that also helped us how to build the killer team. And there's like the team that we really built for Avacraft, they're so good that, I mean, like she says, right, we don't have to get into day-to-day stuff. We are at a strategy, vision level. And I've seen Asha, if there is any issue comes, she can roll the sleeves and jump right in, open the computer, and she knows everything what to do. Because that level of detail is because it's built bottoms up.
So Avacraft is, again, kitchen cookware brand. You guys
Yes.
founded it.
Yes.
You built it up. Then you had a number of influencers that
Yes.
really opened the door for people to come and buy. Asha, talk a little bit about that and how you marketed that property or that business and got it going.
Yeah, the frustrating thing when we started Avacraft was the customer service as well. So when I had any questions with the cookware, I used to email the manufacturers, but got a standard answer. So that was my main why we started Avacraft. So when any questions on the cookware on Avacraft platform, so our response time was like within 3 minutes before they got off from their computers. So a lot of customer put a reviews on our cookware brand. So that's when I think I sell on Amazon. So Amazon found us that, oh, these are the great customer service, amazing quality cookware. So they came and made a story on us. They were here. They sent a big Hollywood crew here to film us for 2 days. They were at home. And then next day, during Thanksgiving time on Good Morning America, New York,
ABC's Good Morning America.
Jessica Alba, the Hollywood actress, endorsed Avacraft brand.
And this is all unsolicited.
Yeah. So next day morning, I see my sales. It was like skyrocketed. I said, what's happening? Is something wrong with my thing? And then customers started messaging me saying that, oh, I saw your brand endorsed by Jessica Alba on Good Morning America. I said, oh, that's when this sale jump is. So Yeah.
And then once we got a call from Forbes actually that we had no idea. In fact, it's really funny. They called on my phone for some reason, and they said, "Oh, we are from Forbes," and I thought it's really a spam. I actually cut the call thinking that it's a spam, but they called again. It's like, no, we're really from Forbes, and we heard about you guys, and all the things happened, and they actually built a good story about Asha's venture and me in Forbes. They made a video, they posted on Forbes. That also helped us a lot to get the visibility. Yeah.
That's great. Now let's flip it over to destiny. Destiny. So you're starting to connect the dots.
Yeah.
Engineer, moved over to the United States, lost your job, started to be an entrepreneurial spirit with Stone Wiz. Ava started Avacraft, and now you're coming into multifamily.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about the transition to multifamily. How did that happen?
With Avacraft, we were going good, and I think we always loved real estate.
Yeah.
But because when we came to the United States, we lived in an apartment. And we always thought, like, who must be owning these apartments? These must be all wealthy people. It's not our game. That was our thought process always. And I think we bumped into a friend when the Avacraft was going around 2018, 2019. And that's how we came to know about commercial real estate and specifically multifamily, how to get into it. And it felt like we can do this. And I remember Asha and I talking again that is there a question we can't do it? We have done everything possible, and the worst is past. Let's go do it. And that's how it all started.
Yeah.
We jumped into an education group. We took some basic fundamental education. That's where we met Ricardo as well. It was been a great friend. So ever since, right? And that was our beginning. Actually, we started. It just all made sense in the real estate. Your equity gain, your cash flow, your tax advantages, and why real estate is always better, and why majority of the millionaires come from real estate. That all started making sense, and that's how we entered in around 2018, 2019 timeframe.
I remember when we first started talking about you guys getting into real estate, and I think what stood out the most is when most first-time buyers come to us, it's more about kind of how do I put together the transaction? How do I put together my team? And you guys had questions about that, but I remember you were really focused and because of your prior experiences with your other businesses, you were already kind of thinking ahead, like how do I scale? How do I implement systems? You had that engineering mindset with, well, I think engineering is one thing, but then your experiences in your other businesses, you were asking a lot of the next level questions kind of really early on, which is different. Talk more about that, kind of how you came into it and what you've done over the last several years to start scaling your business a little bit.
Yeah, I think one thing you touched upon really well, and that's what we learned very hard way, that I think building business is hard, but it's also at the same time, it can be done really well if you put the SOPs and systems in place. And it basically building more people who think like us in the business, and then having those systems in executing at once. And I think that, and once we wanted to get into multifamily, that was important for us that because we learned from these businesses we did that let's not get into it to do only one. And then that's it, right? We got to work with our partners and investors where we build this roadmap and legacy because real estate is all about that. And that's where we started going. We did some passive investments. We did ton of due diligence with the people who were putting together deals so that we understand what happens at the ground level, because that's how we did our businesses so far. Understanding it bottoms up, then only you can build better systems. When you know how much, for example, a free on cost. If you don't know, that's going to be a problem when you run the business. So we did all that. And I mean, you know this, Ricardo, very well. The first property, I looked at a lot of properties. We underwrote it. We reviewed it together. And then first property was a 24 unit multifamily we bought in Denton. Was a great location. And it was at the intersection of a highway and completely ignored property with a high potential with class A's next to it. And we could see through that this can really be lifted up. right? There were some discussions also there that I was a little hesitant as a first property, but when I think you and Mike said that if you don't buy this, we will buy this, right? And that kind of changed, turned it, and we said, okay, let's go do this. And that's how we just pulled the plug. That was 24 unit property with the rents around $800 and $900. We took that over, we cleaned it up, we got rid of all the bushes there. There were a lot of snakes. I'm not kidding. There were snakes and insects. We got rid of all of them. We improved the units, and we literally took the rents from like 800, 900 to $1,400. And right around like 1 year mark, when we were just the NOI and income just like was skyrocketing, right? We did the same thing, that offer the best type of product with the best type of service, and then people don't mind paying for that. But and I and Asha, we literally managed it hands-on. I fixed the towel rods. I have run the snakes through the toilets, and I have even done freon filling with the HVAC guys, so that I really wanted to understand how this all works bottoms up. Because I think one of the things in multifamily is the operations, which is the key, and having major control on that is very important. Then the income can just go on its own if the operational costs are taken care, right? Fast forward, yeah, we got an offer, really good offer on that property, which we could not say no. And we sold that in, I think, 13 and a half months. And we returned 115% on that one property. My partners and I.
Not bad for the first deal.
Yeah.
Talk about so that was the first deal. That was back in 2021. You sold it in a year.
Yeah.
And then about shortly after you sold that, the first one, I think you got into your second deal.
Second deal, yeah. It's a 66 unit in Arlington. Again, great location straight on the Texas 303, ton of traffic, just like the first property. For that property, we literally do zero advertising even now, even in this economy. And that property has been really good. It's a gated community with the larger units, three bedrooms, 2 bedrooms. And what we realized with the property is Arlington is a more blue collar area when we looked at the market. And if you rent the house there about 1,200 to, let's say, 2,000 square feet, the rents are way higher, like 2,000 to 2,500 to 3,000. And here, this property with a three-bedroom townhome style, 1,200 square feet was charging just like $1,200. So there is so much of room to cover there. And that's the thing we saw in the property. We got it. We increased the rents there by like from $1,200 to almost like $2,000. So that kicked in really well. We recently refinanced that property into a good cash flowing property. Now I actually see that we'll be able to distribute 8% cash to our pref also in that one, which should start in this quarter once we're done. That was our second property. That was a 66 unit. We just graduated a little more. Then we acquired the third property, 160 units in Las Colinas in Irving area, one of my favorite areas because of the number of businesses and just the sheer scale of economy there. Pretty distressed property. When we walked on that property, or rather drove around that property, we felt like we are in a third world country. Really, it's like 1 feet deep potholes. It had just rained. We didn't know where we are going. And everywhere there was a car garages open in the parking lot. Yeah. So Asha, I remember Asha, like she was a little worried and scared as well, right? You remember?
Yeah.
In terms of value add, that was by far your biggest lift.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, relative to the other deals. The other deals were they needed work, but they were stabilized.
Yeah.
A little bit of CapEx, but Max, then your latest transaction has been a pretty big lift.
Yeah.
Over the last year or so. Talk a little bit about the rehab on that deal.
Yes, yeah, this was a heavy lift by far. I agree. It took us like 1 year to transform that one. So a couple of issues, not couple of, there is many issues with that property. The office was closed for many years because they had another property nearby, and there was a simple printout on the door that if you want to talk to us, please walk to this property. That was a simple message there. The pool was lush green. It was never opened, like the residents told it was not opened for last like 2 to 3 seasons. The clubhouse was closed. The gym was broken. I talked about potholes on the parking lot. The garages, like there were literally car repair garages everywhere in the parking lot. There were a lot of foundation and plumbing issues. You could see it when you walk the units. You see the cracks, the broken
water
stairways, and the leaks everywhere, type of thing. So we knew that we are getting into something that is really heavy lift. But what I was positive about was the prospects of it, looking at the area, right? And I had seen the rents and the per capita or the family income around, and we had a good feeling that we can lift it. So we went in with pretty high capex in that one, and we transformed that property. So in 1 year, I mean, when the economy started changing around the same time, we acquired it in May, June of 2023. Economy started changing a little, or it had already changed, and the rent growth was really tough. But in 1 year, we transformed that property in such a way that our average rent growth in year one was 15%.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, what we did really was we had to get rid of a lot of people who do not deserve to be there.
Yeah.
The first thing Asha did was she visited the code office and the police station, and she asked for a community officer, and then she talked to them, and she requested the community officer, can you circle the property every day at least once, just go inside the property, and because we are here new owners, we want to improve this as a community. And they liked it. They all want the community to be good where they go, right? Because they know there are issues in that. The moment police started doing the rounds of that property, there were a few residents who came to office and started complaining about it. My manager called me and said that, Vivek, this is what has happened. I told her that, okay, note down their unit numbers. Those are our non-renewals. If people are worried about having police on the property, that's a good indication. Let's get rid of them. So a lot of these things like Asha did, those helped us a lot. We did a lot of non-renewals in the first 6 months. I brought the occupancy down to 75%. And my break-even occupancy was still good, so we could do that. And then from there, we started ramping it. To my partners and investors, we had told that this is a heavy lift, and for 1 year, we are not going to do any cash flow. But we actually started doing cash flow right after 6 months.
Yeah.
We started doing like over 5% of cash flow from the 6 month onwards. And this year, like 2025, we did two cash distributions so far. One in January for the fourth quarter, and just now last week, Asha just sent out the distribution. It's over 6% now, and it's climbing. We deployed quite a few strategies on all our properties operationally. I love deploying the strategies, looking at each metric and deploying the strategies, try them out. Not everything works, but unless you try, you just never know.
So Vivek always sits with the property manager and then make her understand if your collection, your rent, everything is good. So the NOI, if it increases, it's really good. He really makes her understand how NOI can be improved or increased. And every month he gives her the new target. And she said, oh, she was like so happy. Oh, I reached this target. He said, okay, next month is this much. And she's like,
But they get,
they do it.
They get bonus based on that. But it's a sheer happiness even they have. They feel that they can do it. And I think it's about the knobs. Like example I'll give you, they always ignore, I don't know if everybody is like that, but they always don't look at the loss that happens through the vacancy, through the bad debt, through the concessions. And I had given them the target that I need income to go up by this much, right? And their question was, no, but how can I do it? I cannot increase the rents, the market, blah, 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 right? Then I showed her that negative number. That number, if you overcome, half of that itself is that gain. And that's it. I mean, they got on it. And then the bad debt vacancies, they pushed the occupancy to 97% now. We are average around 97% now, 97, 98%. We burnt all that losses and they hit the highest. In fact, this month of March was our highest income ever for that property. And now they're charged up. Now they have a new target to do. And it's in all good spirit. They know, they're confident, they embrace the vision.
Yeah.
And Asha and me, we always treat them really well. Like we take them out for lunch. It's all about the teamwork. I would say it's only
Yeah,
teamwork.
having the right team. I think before getting this right team, we have fired like 3, 4 of them.
Yeah.
So
That side is, I think I would say more than me, Asha is really good at it. I think you got to fire fast, and she has a good eye for that. If she sees that there is no more like one day, let me give one more day now, I think. And the messaging is really simple, right? It's just not the right place for you, right? And then figure out and get someone else.
Talk about how you guys have structured your team, because it's very unique. So after the first deal that we talked about that you self-managed, as you started scaling, you brought on a team.
Mhm.
Talk about how you've partnered with property management, because you use third party, but it's not the way most people use it.
Yeah.
Talk about that structure.
That's a good question, and it's a little bit of complex, I would say, but I'll explain, and Asha will also jump in. So yeah, there are number one thing I realized after doing the self management of first property is that there are few things in the property management that I don't think I'll enjoy doing it. Mainly like HR related things, right? I'm an engineer. Asha and me both are engineers. We are doers. We are entrepreneurs. We solve the problems. We take everything by horns, and we always tell that we are not going to give up on any problem. We go behind it. But HR, payroll, the Medicare is something different. And then the other thing is, we are in an industry where people live on the property. Your toilets are going to break. Your towel rods are going to break. You don't have to manage it. There can be a standard code, and the response time, acquire that material, it can be solved with the system. And I don't want to deal with that. I would rather deal with the bigger challenges and how do I maximize, right? That's where we decided, let's get in the property management company with an agreement that I'll be heavily involved. So we call it a hybrid management. Right from it's my property management system, like Resman, it's ours. It's not even property management. And then they use it and they do a pretty good job. I mean, like them. And then many things, like right from every month's rent increase to the collections to delinquencies to the occupancy levels, I'm heavily involved. I put a forecast that I look at the financials. We have a weekly call with the managers. There is a set. This is just 30-minute call. In the 30 minutes, we cover the financials, the trends, what did go well, what did not go well, where they need my help. Those things, right? And that's pretty powerful. We evolved onto that. Those are the things I'm heavily involved. All of the things which are routine, those are like handled by property management company, and they're really good at it. I don't think I'll be good at those things.
And CapEx we handle.
CapEx entirely we handle, right from the vendor selection to material, everything that we handle, because that's also heavy when you get the property and then it tapers down. So that's kind of okay. Accounting also is taken care by the property management, but I review it once a month during the monthly financials reconciliation. I have a VA now who's really good, and whatever I do, I have built a system so that he can handle it now. A lot of things he handles. Like for example, I'll tell you, right, small things. You are going to need a lot of material since we are running a property where people live, right? From like light bulbs to fans to door handles. Where do you buy it, right? Like I want to be very cognizant of those things. For example, right, kitchen faucet, it costs $100 if you go to any of the standard outlets to buy, right? But I buy the same for $35 on Amazon.
Mhm.
Right. So that's a lot of saving, that every dollar saved goes back as a cash distribution, right? That's how I look at, that's how we look at. So there is a standard procedure for that. So whenever a manager or maintenance person needs, let's say 10 faucets, the request comes in and goes to my VA and he knows what to buy, where to ship exactly. It's all, now he automates it, sends the invoices to that level. So it's a little complex, but it's more hybrid type of management that we got on. And we meet the property management, the owners once a quarter over lunch. We talk about, we want to be cognizant to them to know that are they facing any issues because the way we are operating, are they getting inefficient because of that? So they give us a feedback. We try to come to a common understanding. Then we give them feedback, what is going well, what is not going well. And we try to bring, because I don't think any system is going to be perfect.
Sure.
There are going to be problems, and I think just addressing them at the right point of time.
It's
Right?
again the teamwork, I would say, owners and the property management, right?
Yeah.
work together and make it better. It's good for them, it's good for us.
Yeah, and they have good friends by now, really good friends. They understand. They also joined the apartment association. They're helping a few other folks now. They realize the power of it. Yeah.
And talk about that a little bit. So before we go to the apartment association, so that structure,
Yeah.
you guys are overseeing a couple hundred doors. Do you envision that that's a similar structure that will allow you to scale? Like, what are the plans over the next several years? Where do you kind of see yourself from in terms of the structure and portfolio?
Yeah, that's a good question that Asha and I always, that's one of our favorite topics. We always sit and discuss where do we go from here. We do have a vision. I think, like every business, in this business, what we really like is to be able to help our investors and partners step towards the financial freedom. Because we went through that. And we didn't know about real estate that it can be this easy to do, right? We went through our own path to do the businesses, and we kind of achieved financial freedom there. But I think financial freedom for family, and Asha says this always, so I'll steal your words. She always says that the financial freedom for you and your family should not be seen as a special thing. It's an obligation
Yeah.
everybody needs to do, right? And it cannot be. And she really, when she said that, right, it kind of struck to me that it really needs to be an obligation for everyone, that a finance, and it's not that hard if it is planned well. And what we went through, I don't think people need to learn by going through that. Right. And that's what we decided. We helped our friends, few friends, to start business, get there. And that's when this type of business, right, multifamily, helps generate that for more people. And that's what makes us more happy. Every time we do cash distribution, she does the cash distribution purposely. She takes that control, she sends it, writes emails, because she loves that part. And when the thank you mails come, you feel like, yes, you did something good, right? That's that fulfillment. And we want to do that more and more. So we want to keep going on this journey. The current model, I think we will definitely be able to sustain it. But I think way in future we might look at the vertical integration to bring in maybe more optimization, but at this point we don't think we need to do that. We'll just focus on growing, help more and more partners and investors through our journey, and definitely look at building this as one of the big ventures in future. Yeah, help more and more investors.
That's fantastic. So it feels like you guys have been buying a deal about every year. So I know you've started looking. Talk a little bit about what is your acquisition box for the next deal,
Yeah.
and what you guys are seeing on the market, because you and I have been chatting a lot. We've been chatting a lot about kind of what's going on in the market. What are you seeing right now, and kind of what is your box for acquisitions?
Yeah, that's a good question. We currently are looking inside Dallas Metroplex itself because the fundamentals of Dallas are very strong.
Yeah.
Right. If you look at the people movement or the business moving in, it's just strong. And I look at my own properties, who are the applicants coming, and I'm now able to push the rents, right? So I can see those fundamentals. Absorption has been good so far. A lot of those things. We want to stay around 200 units, 200 units. Class B, Class C type of properties, well within like Dallas Metroplex. Not necessarily heavy lift. We are open for even like the yield type of play, which can cash flow quickly, because I know a lot of investors have been requesting us on that part as well. So those are the types of deals we are seeing. We did work on a couple of deals, and then you're aware of some of them or all of them. We are very choosy on a property. Location has to be great. There is one thing that you cannot change in this business, is the location of a property. You can beautify the property and convert into a palace, but location cannot change, and that matters so much. So we lost a couple of properties in the LOI and the bidding process. That's fine. It's always but wherever we feel we can. We feel good about that property, we can bid on it good, we just go ahead with it. If we cannot make money on something, I would let it go. That's fine, because we are in the business of making money, not just to keep someone happy, right? So we will continue acquiring around that range, B and C, about 200 units, Dallas Metroplex.
You mentioned your passion about helping others, helping your LPs kind of see financial freedom. You guys are also heavily involved in the community in several ways, but I know you've got a leadership position within the apartment association where you bring people together and share knowledge there as well. Talk about that role and maybe a little bit of a plug for the apartment association.
Yes, yeah. I think community goes back to where we come from. I would definitely touch on something that Asha and I are heavily involved in, even back home in India and here with some of the organizations. We actually work very closely with Folds of Honor, for example. We regularly donate every year. It's for the children of fallen soldiers for their education, scholarships, because education made tremendous difference in our life, right? That can be a savior. So we support that. We work with St. Jude's Children's Hospital. We actually helped build a school back home in India in our village. It's for because where we studied, education is really hard to get. And forget about English education. That given it's an international language now, so we helped start a school in English with the national level type of syllabus there. And that school started with just like 8 students, and now it is like what 800 to 1,000 students.
Yeah.
It's been good. My brother-in-law helps a lot with that. Our next goal is Asha and I really want to build a school for physically and mentally challenged children because those children don't get much help back home, and it's really miserable to see them. And I see so much of good things that can happen here for people, for kids on spectrum and things. So we want to do that as a next. We're working towards it. We've done some progress. It always needs more time, so we do that. And here we do quite a few things. Like Apartment Association of Greater Dallas was a natural progression for me and Asha. We both are involved as a director at large. I was vice chair of it last year. And the key thing about that is to understand the industry as a whole and the legislative side of it. Many people actually, as an operator or even as an LP, they don't understand what all goes on in the legislation about multifamily. There are things like rent control. There are things like landlord should not evict people type of bills always getting put in front of the legislators. And if we don't get together and help legislators understand that these are businesses, we are not here to make money, but we are here to offer housing, good housing. Like on for example, on our properties, there are families living for over 3 years. They don't want to change because they have a good house, good service, everything. They cannot buy houses. So that's what we are providing, right? So that type of push. So I have a lot of interest on legislation side. So I'm working towards it. Asha does that a lot for small business side. She was in Austin recently in the Capitol for the taxes. So Apartment Association is all about getting more knowledge, building network with vendors, like-minded people, the big multifamily companies as well that you normally don't see. Their staff is always there in the meetings. And of course, the legislation side. So
legislation side, generally they hear only from the people that who lease, the normal people, but they don't renters, but they don't hear more from the landlord side, right? Even we go through challenges. Even we face steep increase in the property tax and those lot of things, right?
Yeah.
That makes us increase the rent, not just simply we are not increasing
that's such a key point what Asha mentioned. What we realize while talking to legislators is they just don't know what they don't know. Unless we get there and tell them why am I increasing the rent? Because the city is increasing property tax by 70%. How do you expect me to provide housing at the same rent?
Sure.
That's when they say, oh, now I understand. Okay, now I understand what's happening. And because I think thousands of bills are thrown in front of them. Like, how are they going to understand everything? Right. So that's where Apartment Association of Greater Dallas or Texas Apartment Association are really, really useful to get in. I mean, we cannot run this business by standing, okay, let somebody else do it and I'll keep running the business, right? I think we all need to get involved with that. It's for everyone.
Ricardo, in Star Wars, the concept of destiny is frequently explored with characters like Obi-Wan Kenobi stating, you cannot escape your destiny. Luke Skywalker is also presented with the idea of destiny with Darth Vader telling him, he has foreseen this, it is your destiny. I believe Asha and Vivek have a destiny, and the destiny is financial freedom. So anybody who's listening to this is, what is your destiny? Is it multifamily investing and financial independence? That's what you've got to ask yourself. And destiny for them, they went through a series of trials and tribulations where in November of 2012, they found themselves without a job and without a lot of money in the bank. But they knew they had a destiny. And now they've gone from that to owning a stoneworks, granite and marble import company, to owning one of the famous kitchenware companies in the United States called Avacraft, to getting into multifamily, to getting things that we haven't even talked about down in Fredericksburg that they're exploring and working on. But they have a destiny. That destiny is looking to expand and have financial freedom in the future. So I do appreciate Vivek and Asha being on the podcast. Guys, if somebody wanted to talk with you or get some more information about what you guys do, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Sure. Yeah, Paul. Thank you, Ricardo and Paul, for this. Always a pleasure talking. And we are avid listeners of Old Capital podcast. So that's our thing in the gym. We're always listening to the podcast. If anybody wants to get in touch, my email is Vivek. That's Vivek @starcorecapital.com.
Sounds great. Ricardo, any last minute thoughts before we close out?
No, I'm inspired to get up and get some stuff done. We really appreciate you guys joining us. You guys are an inspiration to many. I love talking to you because I always get jazzed up and inspired. So thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Paul. Thank you, Ricardo.
Thank you.
Appreciate
No
it.
problem. Again, thanks for being on the podcast. We appreciate it. Again, I'm Paul Peebles. Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to the Old Capital Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please join us at oldcapitalpodcast.com to sign up for our weekly email updates. We'll see you next week for another great interview.